The worst ways animals have lost their lives. Simba, a 9-month-old Siberian husky. Amy Mads was walking and playing with her dog when the husky ran toward a nearby stream to drink some water. No one expected a massive alligator weighing nearly 300 kilos in the stream. The giant animal lunged at Simba, slamming him to the ground and ending his life right there. Then it dragged him into the water. Petey and Snowy, two pet parakeets. Becky Griefer, the owner of the house, left the cage with the two parakeets on her porch so they could enjoy the weather. Suddenly, without really knowing how, a large hawk got inside the cage. When Becky realized this, she tried to save the two parakeets, but unfortunately Petey had already been eaten by the animal. Luckily, Snowy was able to be saved. CJ, who was only 9 years old and was the owner of the parakeets, couldn't believe it when his mother told him the news. Things you never knew. What were they really used for? Did you know that many backpacks have hidden whistles in their straps? Mainly the ones designed for the outdoors. And this whistle is used to easily attract attention if you're in danger. The slot in the spaghetti serving spoon isn't for draining water, but it's actually used to easily measure the exact portion for one person. Did you know what these spaces under cups are for? Well, they're absolutely necessary so that cold air can flow, preventing the cup from breaking when you pour in hot liquid. I used to think that the order of the keys on a keyboard was designed to make typing easier, but actually it's the opposite. In the past, typewriters had the letters arranged alphabetically, but people became so fast at using them that they kept getting jammed. So keyboard manufacturers had to randomize the order of the keys to make people type slower. People who hit the jackpot with their food. Sometimes you order a pepperoni pizza and they bring you 3 or 4, but this person had the exact opposite happen. The amount of pepperoni on their pizza is outrageous, but hey, it's better to have too much than too little. This lady harvested what is probably the biggest lettuce in the whole world. And speaking of big things, a farmer got a gigantic cucumber. They saw that the menu said special pizza with chicken, but they never imagined that it would literally come with a whole roasted chicken on top of the pizza. He ordered 12 packs of cookies for $3 to get free shipping, but by mistake they sent him a box that had 114 packs. I don't think tangerines can get pregnant, but this one had a smaller one inside it. And comment, what do you think is bigger, this banana or the cucumber we saw earlier? Worst ways people have lost their lives. Mrs. Liu, a Chinese woman who was the mother of an 8-year-old girl. She was on her way to piano lessons with her daughter. The girl was sitting in the back seats. Mrs. Li went through a police checkpoint, but she didn't realize that the officers were asking her to stop. After she went through the checkpoint without stopping, an officer drew his weapon and opened fire, hitting the woman directly in the head. The bullet passed just a few centimeters from the girl's head, and the car rolled until it crashed into a parked truck. Fortunately, the girl was unharmed. The officer involved in the incident was never prosecuted. Ferdinando Mocchiola, 66, the man was on vacation in Kenya with his wife, and one morning he saw some elephants nearby. He decided to get even closer to take some pictures, but the animal went straight for him, knocked him to the ground, and then crushed him. The funniest moments of construction workers on the job. I don't think that's how you build a wall, but since I'm not a construction worker, I'd better not say anything. Something tells me those bags of cement weren't meant for that. It's because of things like this that you shouldn't underestimate the work of architects. What is truly admirable is the bravery of some workers. They fully trust their co-workers with their lives, and this happens more often than we think. Let's hope this man manages to get out in time. In theory, you're supposed to hold it, but he prefers to control it with his gaze. This guy somehow managed to be much more productive. This person's aim is incredible, and you can't deny that. Images that confuse the entire world. Part 9. Relax. Even though we've all seen the same thing. This man doesn't have his butt out, it's just the reflection of the legs of the person behind him. I confess that it has taken me quite a long time to understand why this woman does not have her head in the right place. It's because her hat matches the wall behind her. And this is her son's head who was sitting on the floor. For a moment I got scared and my mind thought for some reason that this was a run-over cat, but no. If you look closely, it's clearly just a crushed bag. How is it possible that the box is empty? But if there is a cat in the reflection, it is as simple as this being a window and not a mirror, and the cat is outside. Even if you don't believe me, this is not a dog with some kind of deformity. It's a completely normal dog. This is how they imagined 2024 100 years ago. People in the past thought that cars would be fully autonomous and that during the trip, no one would have to drive. And that you could even play a board game with your family. Indeed, today, there are already cars that drive themselves, but you still have to pay attention to the road. This shows how people in Japan once imagined future school classes would look. And it's a bit shady because there are robots that hit students on the head when they misbehave. People also believed there would be cruises, but in the air. I know that nowadays there are planes with a lot of luxury, but nothing like what's in the picture. None of them have giant swimming pools. One thing they got completely right is that cars would have a navigation system that shows you the way you need to go to reach your destination. Pirate toys that will make you laugh until you cry. The creators of this toy really went overboard. They made Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace. Given that he died in a helicopter accident, it would be in poor taste to reference a helicopter. How could we forget when I was reading the Bible and suddenly Godzilla appeared and there was an epic battle against Jesus? Seriously, who came up with the idea of making this pack of figurines at a birthday party? There was someone dressed as Peach. Yes, obviously it's Peach, but as if she had eaten the wrong mushroom. Why would you want to have a Transformers action figure when you can have something better? Deformers. As a kid, I went on inflatable castles often, but now as an adult, I find it disturbing. You go into the mouth of this deformed SpongeBob to be devoured by him. In this pirate toy, everything seems fine, but there's a mistake. Did you notice it? Awesome inventions that should exist all over the world. In a restaurant in Rome, they implemented single-use mini toothbrushes so customers can brush their teeth after eating. This Uber driver added video games to his car to keep passengers entertained during rides. In this city, they not only put the price of gas on the sign, but also the price of coffee. I think it's a good decision. This elevator shows you how close you are to its maximum capacity based on the passenger's weight. In a public restroom, they put tissues on top of the door handle specifically so you can open it without having to touch the handle directly with your hand. The university installed power outlets on trees so students can study outdoors with their laptops. Honestly, these gloves are very clever. They put in a built-in nose scratcher so you don't have to take them off every time your nose itches. The worst design fails in history. To heat 2 rooms at once, they decided to break the wall and put the heater in the middle. It's not aesthetic at all, but honestly it's very practical if you only have money for one heater. They tried to make a ramp for people in wheelchairs, and still, I think it's easier to go up the stairs than to go up that ramp. No, this keyboard isn't dirty, even though it looks like it. It's actually a marble style design. Yes, I'm sure any kid would love to sit in this little chair at McDonald's. They tried to make a Mario Bros costume and ended up with Nyanyo Bros. I don't know who decorates their toilet, but in any case, this is the worst possible decoration. This is what happens when they try to install a faucet, but the instructions aren't in their language. Must see photos before you die. The right skeleton is a young man aged 19 to 22, while the left is a woman around 30. They were lovers who died in a fire. Their kiss lasted 2,800 years. I'm sure you've seen the Conjuring movies. Well, this is the real Lorraine Warren holding the real Annabelle. I wouldn't touch her even with a stick. Without a doubt, the Eiffel Tower is one of the most well-known monuments in the world. And in this photograph, we can see its construction in 1888. This is how men used to shave in the 40s. I've seen some strange vehicles, but I never thought that hippos were used as cars in the 20s. In this photo, we see a worker from the famous Golden Gate during its construction, images that confuse the whole world. Am I the only one who at first glance thought this was an elephant? But no, if you look closely you realize it's a bird. This image blew my mind. I couldn't figure out where this person's head was, but after a while I realized there was a mirror. I spent quite a while looking at this image, wondering how it was possible for a pilot to risk his life flying under a bridge like that. But then I realized that the plane isn't flying so low under a bridge. It's actually being transported by 2 ships. A boy woke up to drink water and saw this in the reflection of the window. The boy got really scared because he thought it was a ghost. But guess what? It was just the chair in his room with a jacket on it. I couldn't understand how the wheels of this bicycle were going through the ground. But the answer is too simple. It's just leaning against a curb. Birthday cakes that made the birthday boy cry. Imagine that one day, for some reason, your family gives you a cake like this for your birthday. I think I wouldn't talk to them anymore. Who would want to eat a cake like that? But look at the cow's face. It even makes you feel sorry for it. A mother ordered a Hello Kitty cake for her little daughter. But when she got home and was about to give it to her, she noticed this little detail. I think they're going overboard with these kinds of object-shaped cakes. Who would want a cake shaped like a newborn baby? Even if it's just a cake and tastes great, I wouldn't be able to eat it. She showed this photo as a reference to a professional baker, and this is what they delivered to her. I wouldn't eat that even if they paid me. This is the expectation of how the cake was supposed to look, and this is the reality. Is it just me, or do the castle towers look like something else? People who cheated death. Joshua Neely, a lawyer and owner of a Tesla Model X. After work, he was driving to his 4-year-old daughter's birthday when he started to feel a sharp pain in his chest caused by a pulmonary embolism. The man could barely move, and this could have caused an accident that would have ended his life. But he managed to activate the autopilot on his Tesla, and this saved his life. The car took the man to the nearest hospital, where he was treated quickly. A 29-year-old sailor from Colombia, he and 3 other sailors were left adrift in the Pacific Ocean when the boat's engine failed. They all tried to survive by eating fish and seagulls, but as the days went by, 3 of them unfortunately lost their lives. And 2 months later, when it seemed impossible to get out of that situation alive, they found him and rescued him. Imagine being adrift for 2 months, feeding on fish and seagulls. Near-death experiences. This man is driving his buggy at quite a speed through the forest and doesn't realize there's a fallen branch on the ground. The branch goes right through the buggy, passing just a few centimeters from him. If it had been a couple of centimeters more to the left, the man wouldn't have lived to tell the tale. This boy is calmly walking through his backyard when suddenly something falls from the sky and passes just a few centimeters from his head. If he had walked just a little bit slower, the debris would have hit him directly. After watching hundreds of videos like this, I think skaters should be more careful about where they do their tricks. Because if a car hits you at this speed, I'm almost sure you wouldn't make it. This one is incredible. A person was driving one day when it was really windy and noticed that the power poles were swaying too much until they fell down. Watch the rear camera to see how close they get to hitting the car. Funny moments of instant karma. A drunk guy got into a sports car and started breaking the glass. Karma didn't take long to act. Look at everything that happened to him for playing a prank, throwing a snowball in his face. First, he hits himself against the door and then falls down, and after that, the kid's sled hits him right on the head. This girl tricked the cow into thinking she was going to give it food, and the animal, realizing it wasn't going to get any, finally gave her what she deserved. Now his whole leg and the entire car are covered in drool. This guy tried to take a picture of his friend's girlfriend underwater, but before doing this kind of silly thing, he should have checked if his phone was waterproof, and from what I can see, I don't think it was. Here's a tip. Put it in rice. This is what happens when you try to hit the loser of a game too hard. Photos you have to see before you die. Part 2. This is a family portrait from the year 1918 during the Spanish flu. If you look closely, even the cat is wearing a mask. This is how the workers who built skyscrapers in the 1930s used to rest. Maybe it was too dangerous, but they were very calm. Here you can see them having lunch. Due to the high levels of sulfur, the inhabitants of the Hizu Islands had to wear gas masks to survive. Because of this, we have the most terrifying wedding photo ever seen. This is Pablo Escobar with his son at the door of the White House. He stayed calm even as the world's most wanted criminal in 1981. This is the tallest person in history, comparing his size with that of some women. Robert Wallow was 2 meters 72 tall, and this photo was taken in the 40s, a few months before his passing. Proof that life is a lie. Did you know that these famous bracelets that stick to your wrist by themselves are actually measuring tape covered up? Even worse are the ropes, which often use used and recycled diapers to fill the inside. And it's much more common than you think. You might have a rope with diapers inside your house. That's how they found their rugby field after a storm. They were deceived all along. It wasn't real grass. No, this isn't a church window. It's actually an aerial shot of rice fields in China. I've been living a lie. This is one of the tricks stores use to make it look like they have more stock. People say she's not floating, but I still don't get how she's sitting like that. He requested seedless watermelon and the sign says it has no seeds, but I think it's clear that it's a scam. What they asked for versus what they got. A girl asked the hairdresser for this haircut on the back of her head after seeing a photo online and thinking it would suit her. Spoiler, it didn't. This was the result. In the ad for this product, they showed before and after. Everyone thought that when the mug got hot, the design would change. But in reality, what they literally received was the photo from the post. This is what happens when you shop online without checking the size of the product. He ordered this to decorate his room, but what he literally received was a piece of cotton with a roll of thread and some hooks. Something tells me this dress isn't very similar to the photo in the ad. He ordered that amazing giant cushion online, but this is what he got. Maybe you need to water it and it'll grow like in the picture. Tell us if you can spot the mistake in these headphones. Things that are much bigger than you think. People often picture a wolf as the size of a large dog, but here's how a medium-sized wolf actually compares to a person. This is what the heart of a blue whale looks like next to a person. The arteries are so big that people could fit inside without any problem. It's incredible to see the size of the rocks the Egyptians used to build the pyramids. Without a doubt, carrying them must have been an amazing task. On the other hand, we can see the incredible size of a wind turbine compared to people. The gigantic size of these is impressive. And this is how a huge tornado looks like compared to the turbines we saw earlier. It's really scary. Cacti in the desert can be the same size as an average tree. This is what a modern cruise ship looks like compared to the Titanic. It makes the Titanic look like a small fishing boat. This man suffered a blow to the head, and when he woke up, he was a professional pianist. Derek Amato, 30 years old. One day he and his friend were at the pool playing catch, tossing the ball and catching it before it hit the water. However, on one of the attempts, when he went to jump, he slipped and hit his head on the edge of the pool. Derek was in a coma for several days, and when he finally woke up, he experienced frequent memory loss. However, the universe gave him an unexpected gift. He was at a friend's house again when he noticed an electric keyboard and somehow felt a deep connection with it. Although he had never played piano before, as soon as his fingers touched the keys, a beautiful melody emerged. His fingers moved effortlessly, as if he had played the piano his whole life. From that day on, Derek became a professional pianist, and to this day, he has never taken a single piano lesson.